Microphone check 1, 2. Okay, let me give this a minute. Then I'm gonna come on, because I gotta try to get my son out. See if he can learn to drive a car. Y'all know how that goes. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We are broadcasting live on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different platforms today. We're broadcasting live off of our Instagram page on my phone this time because I haven't really got the science down yet for broadcasting over the computer. And we're on Facebook at Jamil Salib Zamir. We're on Facebook at The 19 Report. We're also on Facebook at The Music Man. We're on Linked. That's a business site, but what we're talking about is business because business is warfare. And depending upon how you can make a person feel about themselves, they don't even want to fight for business. They don't even want to fight for their future. They don't have the fight in them because they don't feel like they're worthy of anything. Well, my job is to bring, by God's permission, the knowledge that we will research deeper into that knowledge and share that knowledge that is literally being destroyed and buried into the annals of time, and we will not be able to find ourselves. We will not be able to talk to our children about our past. We will not be able to explain anything to them with the exception of what is broadcast live over the internet, over the television, and depending upon who is in control of those outlets, that's what we see. Now, many of us can't fathom the level of hatred of Black people. Many of us can't fathom, and this is Black History Month, so we should be allowed to say Black people. And when I talk about my people, I'm very passionate about it because I lived it, because I've experienced night riders riding through our neighborhood in King Street, South Carolina, Williamsburg County, Rocktown, because I have experienced right here in Clarendon County racist whites that tried to lynch me one night coming from a dance. They beat me up. I literally had to run for my life. I experienced right across from the Manning Hospital what they used to call Bar Weeks. One of the children of that clan made me open my mouth, and he put a 9mm in my mouth and threatened to kill me just out of fun. So that type of terror is what stopped us from we were being terrorized as children. So when we grew up, we grew up afraid. We grew up unable to accept who we were. The plan of Caucasians at that time was to literally destroy the moral standards, the value, the faith, the belief, everything. They took it all. Our language, our culture, our God, our history, our heritage, they took it all. Now, today's Caucasian, who I admire that they took control of what their parents stole, of what their parents connived and cajoled and took control of, they still have it. Now, they will say, well, I didn't have anything to do with that. But you are benefiting from what your parents did to us. You're benefiting from that. You are the residual of what they did to keep us down, to make us work for free, to make us think we were nothing, to make us feel like we were nothing. And they created a narrative. I'm coming to something. That whites did us a favor, Caucasians did us a favor by bringing us from what they call Africa, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. We call Akibulan, we call Asia or the East, and they made us to think that they did us a favor by enslaving us, by torturing us, by beating our nature out of us and turning us into them. So those of you who are politicians, you have businesses, I'm talking Caucasians, you have all of these amenities that you now have. I'm not whining about it. You took advantage of an opportunity and you continue to take advantage of a horrible opportunity. I'm talking to Caucasians now. But at this point, we have to stop with the lies. At this point, we have to stop with the strong arming of other people trying to do better. And I hope we don't have to go into the history of Tulsa, of Florida, of South Carolina, the murder and the destruction of black folks who said they had enough of white folks and went off and proved that we could build for ourselves, and still you come after us and take what we have. So I want to talk about that today, and the title of this is Bones in Their Noses. And the reasons I entitled it that is because even Caucasian people think that their Caucasian great grandparents did us a favor by bringing us out of our homeland into this place we call the Americas. So I want to go into that a little bit, and everything that I talk about today, you can go and look into for yourself. I may skip over a few things because I didn't put notes together per se, but I want to say this at the outstart. Caucasians have become some of you, very sensitive. There are many of you that I thought that I had created a friendship with. And I think that your nature is that you prefer to be the one helping. You want to say that you helped a black person, like we are some puppy or a dog or a charity case. But when you realize from talking with me that I am no slow leak, that I am very forward with my words by God permission, that I am not ignorant to the knowledge of what's going on, although I may be ignorant to certain points of it, I'm not ignorant to what's going on. So when you talk to me and I talk to you directly, look you in your eyes, tell you how I feel about my people, all of a sudden we're not friends anymore. You don't answer my calls. You're talking to me different. Well, this is me. This is Jamil. This is who I am. I don't discriminate. I don't hate. I understand what happened with us and you all. I understand it. And it was by God's permission that it did happen. And it is now by God's permission that we rectify it as much as we can, because black folks are dying from ignorance and the belief that we're nothing. I ain't nothing but an N-word. That's all I'm going to ever be. So we are not vested in anything that we do. We have no investment in our community. We'll tear it down as quick as it's built up. We'll tear it down. As quick as a community comes together, the infection comes in under the mindset of two things. Slumlords who buy property and have no investment in the community, who don't care what the community looks like, and who are willing only to make $1. We're talking about bones in their noses. I'm coming to a point. Black folks are not vested. So we have no investment in ourselves. We have no investment in our children. So we give them the worst of food, the worst of knowledge, the worst of music, the worst of behavior. We introduce that to them. My people are dying from lack of knowledge. That is in the book, in the Bible. And it is the job of the civilized people to teach the uncivilized. That is our job. We die on that job. You don't turn away from civilization. And unfortunately, our people think that doing whatever you want to do is freedom. But doing whatever you want to do has consequences. Therefore, doing whatever you want to do is anarchy. And there is no anarchical society, if that is a word, may not even be a word. There is no society based on doing whatever you want to do that succeeds. What happens is, as black people who have been destroyed, we are able to adapt to just about anything. So we just go along. Now let's get into this thing. We're talking about bones in their noses. Because the majority of white folks really believe that they saved us from Africa. Now, and I want to say this. Let me get to this first about this Africa thing so we can get that in a position. I did a commentary about a man named El Hassan Muhammad Al Wazan. El Hassan Muhammad El Wazan. I did a commentary on that person. That person was a diplomat, an author. I'm reading right here. Is known for his 1526 book entitled Cosmographia et Graphia di Africa, later published by Giovanni Battistis Rumacio, and these are all like Roman Spanish words and stuff. Description of Africa is the title of the book. El Hassan Muhammad El Wazan later changed his name to Leo Africanus. Leo Africanus, he was a Muslim who spoke Arabic, but was kidnapped by Europeans and later accepted Christianity, and even went so far as to enslave Muslims and black people himself. So when we talk about Islam, many of you said that Arabs enslaved blacks. That's true. But the Islam we're talking about is not that. That's not what we're talking about. When we talk about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we are talking about the Caucasian Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad, the Caucasian, accepted Islam and taught Islam to white people. That Islam that was taught to white people by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the white prophet and messenger of God, is now in America what you title the Masonic Order, the Shriners. I'm talking about white folk. All of the white folks that are in these secret societies know full well what Islam is. They're not crazy. Not at all. All of your secret societies, from Skull and Bones to everything else, know full well what Islam is. But Leo Africanus, I said his name because a lot of people say that Africa was named after Leo Africanus. Really, Leo Africanus was named after Akibulan, which was called Africa after breaking down a lot of the names given to that continent by Europeans and European colonists. So the original name of the entire earth is Asia, northwest, southeast Asia. But Akibulan, the original name of the African continent before Europe colonized it and utilized their brand of wording to call it Africa. Now you see on television black children starving, flies all in their face, and these white parishioners and Caucasian people who claim to come and save the black people who are unable to take care of themselves. But all of this is because of colonization, colonialism. It is a colonial regime that went to the east and saw the riches of the continent, that stole the people and brought them into slavery, that stole the resources all throughout Akibulan, all throughout the continent. Every cell phone, every computer, everything that you see, all of those minerals and chemicals are coming from Africa or Akibulan. And white folks want control of the richness of the land. White folks want control of the resources in the land. So no matter where you go on this planet, white people, Caucasians, are causing havoc. They are the most violent race of people on this planet, the most bloodthirsty race of people who will go to any length to keep control. Now, I am not talking about your buddy and your pal. I'm talking about a colonial regime who control the media, who control the radio, and everything that you see about this place they now call Africa. So every image that you see makes you hate Africa or Akibulan, makes you hate your origin. and makes you to believe that because they look so horrible, so downtrodden, so beaten, so broken, and they're dying from disease, makes you to think that they are horrible, so you are horrible. And because we don't study, whatever the Americas offers the black man as something of value, we accept it and wear it proudly. They called us Negroes. They called us the other N word. They called us African Americans. They called us Afro Americans. They called us all of these different names, and we accept them. They gave us our titles. All of your high-end schools, Spelman and all of the others, funded by white folks who got their money from free labor, us. They used a method of brainwashing and fear tactics beyond anything that you could ever imagine to wipe us clean of anything of value. So we still are terrified of Caucasians. That's why, and we hate ourselves. That's why we can beat ourselves, disrespect ourselves. That's why the white man can walk away from us now and know that his position is secure, because we now teach our children to be nothing. We don't monitor them. We running after the bag. Even after the book called Bible says, be careful with that money. It is the root of all evil. It causes you to neglect your responsibility as a parent. So we sign our children over to the school system who teaches them whatever they want to teach them. Then our children come back home and look at us like we're nothing. This is by design. What you see, you got adults who are educated, high military ranks, high political ranks, who will not defend black people, who will not defend the fact that what you see on television, and they have these late night report about us starving and having diseases. Caucasians brought those diseases. Christopher Columbus and his buddies brought the smallpox, brought the diseases to kill the people, and then bring a cure. It's called problem, action, solution. Create the problem and then create the solution. It's what they did in Akibulan in Africa. They brought the diseases. They brought the famine. They made the famine. They created the ignorance. They stole the land. White folks did this. I want to give you a clear picture, because you're walking around thinking that we're savages with bones around our necks, bones in our noses. Not to say that there are not pygmies and other tribes who choose to live off the earth. They do. They have chains all on their necks where they stretch their necks. They got plates in their lip, plates in their ears, bones in their noses, no shirt. They got their penises out, long erected penises. They got all of this stuff over there. But Africa is a civilized society. Akibulan is a civilized society. But they present to us the worst of ourselves in our worst condition and in our ignorance after they destroyed us. I'm talking about Caucasian people. Because they present themselves now, Caucasian people, as if though they're innocent. They ain't do nothing wrong. It's just those NIGGERs, they're animals. Yes, we're animals today by choice. We're no longer slaves to nothing. It's our fault. You can no longer point fingers at white folks. They put us in this condition. Some of us accepted it. Some of us agreed to it. But we're here. No more complaints. Not about that. We got to pull ourselves up for real and do what we always do. Rise to the occasion. But before we can do that, we must get a clear understanding that white folks didn't save us from nothing. White folks were walking around in the caves of Europe, the Caucasus Mountain, butt naked, hair all over their body, tails coming off of the back of their spine because they walked around on all fours, eating raw meat, having anal sex, having homosexual sex, not knowing how to bury their dead, not knowing how to wash themselves. If you saw what white folks look like before you see them today in their fixed up condition after Moses taught them how to be who they are, Moses did that. Moses did that. They know it. It's in their writings in secret societies. They know who Moses is. They know what Moses did for them. And they know what they put Moses through. They know. If you saw them in their worst state, you would think different about them. So when they see us, they say, go back to Africa, go back to, tell them you go back to the Caucasus Mountains. You go back to Europe. You go back to throwing the baby out with the bathwater because we had to teach them how to wash, how to bathe themselves, how to clean themselves, how to have missionary sex by intentionally putting the penis in the vagina and not in the rectum. There is a movie called Quest for Fire with Ray Don Chong, an old movie. If you can find it, watch it. This is not derogatory. This is not to downgrade nobody. This is telling you what we went through, why we went through it. So, Akibulan, the original name of Africa, before the European colonized it. And right now to this day, Bill Gates and the Bill and Belinda Gates Fund are still over there in what they call Africa, experimenting on the people, injecting them with diseases. It's true. And many of these expeditions, Oprah Winfrey was a part of it. One of the teachers that she sent supposedly when she opened up the school in Africa was molesting the children and documenting it. Now it's gotten so bad that they got our people from the East up on Facebook doing sex scenes and selling foolish comedies and all of that stuff, trying to get out of the condition that they are in. Let's move on. I'm not going to talk about all of it. I'm just going to touch on some points so that you see what I'm talking about. But Akibulan is Africa's original name of the African continent before the arrival of the Europeans. I'm going to say it again. Akibulan is Africa's original name of the African continent before the arrival of the Europeans. Akibulan, if Africa was never colonized by Europe, this would be the name, the one world and one continent, the beautiful and full natural resources continent of Akibulan. Akibulan is the oldest name for Africa. In Arabic, it means land of the blacks. The name Africa is a phenomenon in itself because it came from different European tribes who were trying to describe the beauty of what they had conquered, what they tricked our people out of. I'm not going to go into that anymore. I'm going to X off of that. Leo Africanus, they believe that the name Africa was named after Leo Africanus, but it was Napoleon. Napoleon, who conquered certain parts of Africa. When you see that picture of the Sphinx with no nose on it, that's Napoleon do. Every place he went in the East, he saw the black man. Even in the Chinese areas in Asia, he saw the black man, and he was tired of seeing the black broad nose. So he started to take the nose off of all of the artifacts, the Sphinx and other things. He wanted the nose gone. And proof positive that white folks try to erase the history is that now they come up with Nefertiti and all of these other things with Liz Taylor and all of these other white folks with dark makeup on, like they originated Timbuktu and the schools and scholarships of the East. They had nothing to do with that. They conquered it. and they presented to you the worst part of us, which is really not the worst part. The pygmies and people who live in the jungles and hillsides of Asia and even the Amazon jungle. And they even have proof of our existence in, what do they call it? The Grand Canyon. They don't want you to know that. Even in Alaska, they don't want you to know that. Even in here in South Carolina, but they don't want you to know that. Because their method of control is to keep you thinking you are nothing. And once you have the woman teaching the children, you can destroy an entire civilization with one ignorant mother. And our women, whether they are educated or not, have gotten to the point of being so low, so ignorant. The ones who are not that, you don't see them much. They're busy trying to build. But the rest, who are teaching our people to not have a history and to cling on to this. So those children that you see, that is not the prime example of blackness, of Africanism, of Akibulan. That is the product of colonialism. No different than Without Sanctuary, the book that shows the torture, debauchery, rape, murder of black women, babies, children. They fed our babies to alligators. They sliced our women's stomach open, stomped the head of the baby. Anything to put maximum fear. They did that. But now their children don't want to read the history, don't care about it, and they act as if though it didn't happen. And when you try to tell them, they don't believe it because they don't want to know. But ignorance is no excuse. So we are here. And I can't promise you how God is going to rectify it or if he will, because as black people, we're not asking too well. We're not doing too well, showing God that we care that he correct our condition. We are falling in love with filth. So how this situation will play itself out, only God knows that. But I do know this. It is the job of a messenger to deliver the message clearly. And I do know this. I had a best friend in school. Name was Roger Lucas, white guy. He got the Lucas garage. He probably don't even remember me now. I think they got the Lucas oil and all that. We were best friends in 4th grade. I came to his house one day. He used to live over there by B-Mart. Me and Calvin Williams. And he and his father were fixing on a go-kart, and we were looking, and we're thinking the black-white thing is passe. It was during the 80s. The next year, Roger Lucas didn't come back to public school. Roger Lucas was a part of Christian Academy right there at the light across from that church where the fire station is. His parents took him out of school because he was hanging with the black folk. And I saw him at the light, and he had a black Firebird Trans Am. I think he still has that car. And I spoke to him, and he turned his head the other way. See, they trained their children to separate. Don't you fall in love with this Nigger lifestyle. Yet we think we're supposed to be these pleasant people who tell our children, get along with everybody. Well, getting along with everybody is what got us taken from our original home. And getting along with everybody is what makes us think we don't have to fight to keep what we have. All of this is warfare. I can get along with anybody, but I'm not foolish. I'm black. I know that. And I don't believe there's any other race of people that care about my blackness like I do. As white folks don't believe nobody care about their whiteness like they do, which is why they murdered, killed, raped, robbed, built a life for their children that cannot be destroyed unless God destroys it. So they bring us God in whiteface and take all of our black gods, and they made our black gods like we are, what do you call it? Root voodoo. They made everything scary. They made 666 scary. But the carbon footprint of black people is 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. So literally they're saying we the devil. Everything black is bad. Black, I'm in the black now is a slick way of getting over Black Friday. Being in the black is a good thing. But they destroyed our image, man. And I can be cool with you, but don't expect me to stop loving my people. I come home to black. I wash black. I live in black. Don't expect me not to like my people, love my people because I'm hanging with a white person. I'm not going to stop being straight because I hang with gay people. They chose to be gay. I'm cool with you, but I'm straight. I don't want to be with a man. I don't want to touch him, or I'll kiss him on the cheek or on his hand. If it's a loved one, I might kiss him on the lip, male, little I love you. But that's it. Let's go a little bit deeper. I'm trying to get you to see this thing. Leo Africanus. He is the prime example of a person who knew the truth and chose to follow the lie after he was kidnapped by Europeans. He converted to Christianity and enslaved his own people. But he knew the truth about Akibulando, and he wrote about it. So Leo Africanus didn't name Africa. Africa named Leo Africanus because it was that before he was there. You understand? All right, let's X off of that. Now let's talk about Amerigo Vespucci. Amerigo Vespucci owned slaves. He was a explorer of the Republic of Florence, from whose name the term America derived. America was named after Amerigo Vespucci. It says between 1497 and 1504, Vespucci participated in at least 2 voyages of the Age of Discovery, first on behalf of Spain and then for Portugal. In 1503 and 1505, 2 booklets were published under his name, containing colorful descriptions of these explorations and other alleged voyages. Amerigo Vespucci, his name is a part of the Americas. That's where America came from. So when black folks say that you are an American, you're saying I'm named after Amerigo Vespucci, who enslaved my people. I'm a black American. I'm a black American. I'm a black Amerigo Vespucci. That's what you're saying. Like I said, we claim everything. We won't just say I'm black. I'm a black American. I'm black in America. I'm black in one of the greatest countries on earth. And this is one of the greatest. But behind the scenes of its greatness is death, debauchery, and crimes that God will hold people accountable for. And because you don't see them, they must be made manifest. So everything around you, all of the people coming out of the closets now, all of the filth and all of the selfishness, all of it. That's how this country was built. So it must manifest itself. But it manifests itself blaming black people. Black folks are going to be blamed for the downfall of America because they trained you to sell drugs, destroy your community, be hungry for money. When you get a position of power, treat your people like garbage, which is what most of our elected officials in Clarendon County, black elected officials, are doing. They're no help to us at all. Not at all. They're buying up properties and doing the same thing that the white folks did. They're doing it. And that's why they have their position. They don't stand on nothing, but they come before you like they stand on everything. We will be to blame for all of the destruction. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, as this world falls, they will put black people in positions of power so that we will be to blame. And all of our history will be destroyed. And I just did a revelation of the method on how, if the cause and effect, if the pendulum swings one way And because we join on to the pendulum swing, we don't allow it to swing back. All of the blame that should be cast upon the Caucasians who did wrong by us, they will escape it. That is the science of these secret organizations. They know how to escape responsibility and cast it onto someone else, and we take it. I ain't nothing but an N-word. We ain't nothing. We ain't never been nothing. So I don't stand as a product of a Marigold Vespucci. I am a product of the pain of my people. And I am a product of Almighty God, Allah. You call him what you want. But we're going to go into that. We got a few more things. We're 35 minutes in. America named after Vespucci. Africa related to Leo Africanus, but named after European and Spaniards who were trying to give. As a matter of fact, Africa means the land of the sun or land of beauty or land of the dark people. Any name they could give it to admit that this is the origin of civilization. Now, many of you see this book called Bible. This book is about 6,500 years old, the Bible. About 6,000 years old, 6,500, maybe 6,500 years old, the Bible. Human life on this planet called Earth dates back 66 trillion years before this book. You all think that this is the beginning of life. Therefore, they give you this white man and woman in what they call the Garden of Eden. And you believe that that is the origin of, that is the beginning of us. But let me read something to you real quick. There is a scientist. Let me read his, he's dead now. He and his wife were actually paleoanthropologists. They were paleoanthropologists. Louis Leakey with his wife Mary in 1962 is the picture. But we call him LSB Leakey. He was a paleoanthropologist whose work was important in demonstrating that humans evolved in Africa. I'm going to say it again. His works prove that humans came from Africa. The first bones that he found, I think he called the bones, I can't remember, I don't want to misquote it. But let's go into this for a minute. Having established a program of paleoanthropological inquiry in Eastern Africa, he also motivated many future generations to continue this scholarly work. Several members of the Leakey family became prominent scholars themselves in paleoanthropology. But let me tell you what Leakey did. LSB Leakey, Louis and Mary Leakey found stone tools in Old d'Ivoire and elsewhere, found several extinct vertebrates, including the 25-million-year-old Lucy. Lucy was the bones. 25-year-old prone console primate, one of the first and few fossil ape skulls to be found. Their works at Old d'Ivoire Gorge had been interrupted by political uprising in near Kenya, which is Africa, Kibulan, but late in the 1950s, they returned. The Leakeys were interested in prehistoric tools, but they found bones that dated back millions of years. Homo habilis. Now this book is 6,000 years old. These white folks found bones that were over 1 million years old. Some goes far back as 66 trillion years. They found that the origin of all life comes from black people. You can't dispute that. Anything that's lighter is weaker. In the black body, there are two germs, a light germ and a dark germ. If two dark-skinned people get together, they might have a light-skinned baby. They're probably going to have a dark-skinned baby. You saw me post my mother's picture up. My mother was half white. My mother was half white. She couldn't come out in the sun. My father was black. I came out dark. All of us came out dark, except for my brother James, God rest his soul. That's because of the two genes. But if you take the light skin and the light skin and you keep on working with them, you will produce lighter, lighter, lighter until it becomes white. Black is dominant. White is recessive. My eyes are hazel, like almost, they're not black. They're almost like greenish brown. You have blue-eyed, dark-skinned Africans in Akibulan to this day. I'm trying to come to a point. I'm trying to help you see, and white folks too. You all came from, you say we come from bones in our noses, but you all came from being butt naked with long tails, hair all over your body, not knowing how to bury your dead, not knowing how to season or cook your food, not having any rhythm, not having any soul. That's what you came from. That's why it was easy for you. Christopher Columbus was a prisoner in Europe that was set free because they didn't care whether he lived or died, but he discovered something, thought he discovered Asia, but discovered something else. And once he was treated nice by the originators of Turtle Island, which is what the natives called what you call now America, named after Vespucci. But the people that Christopher Columbus and his band of thieves and murderers took from were the native people. You don't know anything about, Lord have mercy, the Trail of Tears, because you don't read. You don't know how they set up the original Indians, not Indian. He called them Indians because he thought he was in India, but the original people here. It's a name I want to call the indigenous people that were here already. You don't know about that. How they filled the blankets with smallpox and other things. The indigenous people were enslaved first here in South Carolina. They were placed in the rice fields and the fields, but the indigenous people were too weak to farm the land. And in the wetness of the moisture of the rice fields, which are literally underwater, they were not strong enough. So somebody came up with a plan. And the plan was go get some stronger people who are used to the jungles, used to living in the heat, used to that. And that was us. And unfortunately, we had people among us who were willing to sell us, who were willing to trick us. And we're going to have to pay for that too. This is hard to take. See, it's easy for you to call us the N-word and tell your children they're no good, they're animals, but you ain't telling them that you are animal, white people. You walked on all fours. That's why you're so close to dogs. That's why you use the term monkey's uncle. I'm not trying to be harsh. But you all act as if, though, in your private conversations, you don't down black people. I know you do, because Allah has put me in a conversation right there at the Weldon Auditorium amongst upper echelon whites. I remember your faces, and y'all didn't talk too kindly about us. Y'all plotted, y'all were still plotting and planning on us. It's true. So don't act like in your homes you're so morally upright. Don't speak about people in that tone. No, if they do something to you, they become an N. Difference between you and me is I'm saying it on the internet. I know it's hard because we don't want to accept the responsibility of having to build nothing. We just want to live off of somebody else's reality. But this book says, behold, I make all things new. And in the book of Revelation, it talks about the new heaven and the new earth. See, you don't want no new heaven and no new earth. You want to do what you want to do without the consequences. You're the same product that white folks created you to be. I want to kill people, but I don't want to die. I want to make noise and cause trouble, but why are they calling the police on us? I want to fight, but I don't want to lose. I want to enjoy everything this world has because I don't want to farm. I just want to eat. You are a product of this world, of the Caucasian who mans this world. He can walk with his head high because everything in it he created by God's permission. So I don't knock him. Especially not today. I'm more hard on my own people because we can do better and won't even try. Let's go on. Remember, history goes back 66 trillion years. Have you ever heard of something called pre-Adamites? Look it up. Look up the word pre-Adamites. Most of the history of white folks, including dinosaurs and everything else, is mythological and theory. It's not real. They theorize. But look up the pre-Adamites. Who was here before the book? Nowhere in this book does it mention a dinosaur. This is supposed to be the calculation and genealogy of the world, but they say we got dinosaurs, but they're not mentioned in the Bible. The big old creatures, big old dinosaurs with the little head and the little brain controlling the big body. Where are the dinosaur droppings? Where's the dinosaur urine? Where is all this stuff? All right, we're almost done. We talked about Leakey. Talk about the Leakey family and what they discovered. Now, let's close on this. We talked about Amerigo, right? Amerigo Vespucci, what this country is named after. So our people walk around thinking that being civilized is acting like white people. I got some neighbors who say that I think I'm the mayor because I don't want no noise coming in my bedroom window. I don't want no marijuana smell coming through my bedroom window. I think I'm the mayor. You think he the mayor? What does that have to do with morality? What does that have to do with wanting to live a quiet life in your castle, your private home, your place of peace and refuge? What that got to do with that? Then you got older people who should know better, who follow the colonial regime and want their way, anarchy, not law, anarchy. I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Well, God has built me. Thank you, Almighty God, Allah, for giving me the strength that whatever you think you can give to me, I have the ability to give it back to you. They didn't just make one fist. They didn't just make one gun. They didn't just make one shed. They didn't just make one form of smoke. They made forms of these things so everyone can defend themselves. That is life and liberty. But you are not defending yourself, black man. You're allowing people to determine who and what you are, who and why you do what you do, and you justify it by making excuses. So you sit and watch your children die. At the minute they got a choice to make a choice, they're going to choose this world. You can hold on to them until they get a chance to choose. They're going to choose weed. They're going to choose porn. They're going to choose screwing. They're going to choose all the wrong things. And if they choose school, they're doing it for the money, so they're not connected with their people. If they choose religion, they're teaching colonial religion, which is everything white. You cannot do a disservice to God and expect the best from God. My position is the most lonely and difficult. But somebody got to tell you that we were not born with bones in our noses and white folk come, Bishop, what's it called, chip? What's that here? They speak another language. Whoa, they sophisticated. Black folks come speaking our languages, and it's a problem. We savages because we speak another language. So you got black folks in Jamaica and parts of Africa speaking French. It's a song that y'all love right now that fell on there with the one tooth. Oh, you just think it's just the best thing that ever happened to mankind. Denial of yourself. Our languages are different. Some of our people talk in Morse code. 3 dots, 2 dots, 3 dots. You think that's savage. But they'll come up here and tap on something Morse code. Genius. White folks are genius. Stop it. We used to be able to telepathically communicate with each other. There are people in parts of Africa that won't allow nobody to come on their land. They'll kill you. And you know what they call them? Cannibals. You know why? Because we can't get there, so they're bad people, they're cannibals. White folks eat dead bodies too. Still do. Sure they do. They introduced it to us. I'm not trying to down anybody, but this is our humble beginning. You could take it or leave it. But while you in your house talking about the savagery of black folks and how we killing each other, make sure you tell your children how your parents how your father and great grandfather would come into our homes and beat up the father and rape the woman right in front of her and impregnate her. And sometimes rape the daddy too. You tell them that. You tell them how they raped our young girls. You tell them how they cut the stomach of our mothers open and stomped on the head of the baby. You tell them how they tied 4 limbs of our men to different horses and pulled their bodies apart in order to put fear into the next generation. You tell them that. You tell them how they hung our heads on poles, how they branded us, and you tell them what they did to Nat Turner, cutting up his body into pieces and eating him and selling his body parts. Tell your children the whole story. And black folks, you do the same. I thank you all for tuning in. I think I'm done. Moral evil, economic good, whitewashing, and the sins of colonialism. Look that up. Look that up. They stole our land. Because honestly, black folks are not a violent people. We fight when we have to. But now they've created us to be just violent. I want to say this. There is a movie that's coming out about Bob Marley. That is a prime example of what is happening to society. Because Bob Marley's son, I think Ziggy Marley, was executive director of the movie. But he didn't use any real Jamaicans for the movie. None. Said he couldn't find any Jamaican actors to play the roles. So he didn't use any. He used French people, Europeans, and that type of thing, but none of the original people. Opportunities that we have. If you've ever been to Jamaica and paid attention, it's colonialized. They have yellow tape around the city, and they tell you on certain parts, enter at your own risk. And if you cross that line, you might get your head cut off. You might. But they have built up markets and things where you get off the boats and stuff and you can shop there, but they encourage you to stay within that area. Don't go down to Kingstown and the other places. Everywhere I went, I saw where they colonialized everything, but Jamaica was most interesting to me. Jamaica and it was another place. Because Michael Jordan and Tom Cruise and all of them owned all of the properties there. So, and when we went to visit the original places, they had water bowls on the top of their houses to catch rainwater and all of that. But where Michael Jordan and all of the people were living, they had the best of everything. So they've taken it all, colonialized it all. You have to be a stone sociopath to walk over someone starving and not try to help them when you know what you did to them. But this is the society that we live in today. This is where we are. Everybody is lost and everybody wants the top spot. But the trick to the Americas is this. When you learn the system, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to maintain your spot. Some people can smile at you and stab you in your back at the same time. As black people, we're masters at killing, but we don't build anything. There is no community of drug dealers who have a bank and a store and a hospital. There is no community of preachers, all of these big time preachers with their Mercedes Benzes and all that, who have a community of banks and stores for their people. There is no community. I'm talking about a thriving community. There is no community of politicians who all live, black politicians who all live amongst each other and see to it that the next generation rises. There are communities of rich debutante blacks who had money all their lives, but technically they are not with us. We need them though, as we need our educated, as we need our ministers and those who can get us closer, but it has to be fair, right? So I think I've talked enough, and I hope that we have gotten across a lot of the important points. Um, White folks, you have no place to talk. You should congratulate yourselves for your growth, but you all have not been through half of what black folks have been through and are still here. And some of us up to par with what you're doing. So at this point, we should start playing fair, respecting each other's contributions. I thank you all for tuning in. I really wanted to do this for Black History Month. Today marks the 21st year of the death of my mother, God rest her soul, Jolitha Wilson, and it's tugging on me very hard because in 21 years, I've seen in society that we have devolved even further. Even further. And where we should be able to be at peace in our homes, in our yards, and in our community, we're still fighting. And I see that there are levels of ignorance that really, I'm talking from the political on down. Something has to be done. So I'm uniting with people, Republican, conservative, all who are offering what is necessary for us to get out of this condition. No longer will it be a democratic thing for me. It never was, because the messenger taught us not to even get into politics. But I realized how much we love it. So I had to kind of jump into the arena. So I am working with people to help with voting and things like that now. Because I think some people time is up. They've been in those positions too long. Whether I like them or not, when you hold a position too long, you become desensitized. You're no longer good for it. We need fresh people with fresh ideas to come into these positions. And if they don't work out, we're going to try something else. But we have to put our agenda as black people right before them. We will vote for you, but this is what we expect in return. We just vote because the person black or act black or Democrat. We got a lot going on, y'all. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina.